Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing really, really well today. My name is Michelle Gailey. I'm the creator of lots of different things, just like you in your life. And every single week, I come on and do some type of tool, training, tip, or inspiration in the realm of life coaching, and sometimes intuition too. If you're here with me live, I would love for you to say hi in the chat. And if you are catching the replay, please put hashtag replay. I'd love to say hi back to you. Today is something that I have been practicing myself for a while, and I'm always experimenting on myself. And when I see value in it, my experiments in my own life, then I share them here for you to try out if you're willing. Thanks everybody for hopping on. I appreciate it. Today is all about the feeling of more versus the feeling of less. And if I'm really honest, me even like coming on here for the last since 2017 and the things I do in my marketing, my emails, I have always talked about the feeling of more because it's been such a big part of my life, the feeling of more. And then just recently, I don't know, maybe the last 6 months or so, it's probably been the last 6 months that I've been challenging myself to look at the opposite, which would be the feeling of less. And it's just such an interesting concept, and I'm seeing the value of it in my life, so that's what I want to share with you. So you know how in January we're talking about manifesting a lot. We can ride the collective conscious wave of like this feeling of wanting to manifest. And it's usually we're wanting a person, a place, an experience. We're wanting to have a physical manifestation in our lives to have this experience. And it's usually about signing up for something or doing something. And it makes sense because if we do something different, we're going to get different results. And in our minds, at least in my mind, that's usually doing something different. Like it's a feeling of more connected to it. But doing something different could actually mean doing less. And I'm going to give you an example now. And again, this is the first time I'm trying to articulate this experiment I've been doing inside of me. So it's going to be rocky for a while, but I hope it's going to come across. About 6 months ago, or maybe longer, I started to experience vertigo. And it was just like anyone who's experienced vertigo, it's on a spectrum from can be disabling and you can't get out of bed to it just triggers you every once in a while and you can still kind of cope with your day. I've gone from barely experiencing it, coping, to disabled from it. And almost like a fear of driving now, fear of travel, it's really gotten into my life. And what I've been doing in this last 6 months is I've been looking for doctors, seeing doctors, getting medicines, getting alternative healing help, dealing with my emotions. Whatever I can think of, I'm going out and buying it, doing it, all the things, right? I am in the feeling of more with it. I'm in the feeling of I've got to go get something. I've got to go do something else, something more to heal this vertigo thing. And that's honestly where I've been for a long time with it. And then as I've been practicing, again, I don't know how long it's been, this idea of what could I do less of, either in my thoughts, in my feelings, or my actions? What could I do less of that might get me the result I want? And one of the things I thought of was, what if I scrolled less? Because I did notice scrolling on my phone could trigger the vertigo. I'm like, well, I could give that up. I could do less of that and see if it could help. So see how I am taking a new action, but I'm doing less of something. And then I thought, what if I eat less of certain foods that I suspect are triggering this? What if I do less of certain foods? So do you see, it was this whole idea of all the things I'm already doing, what could I do less of? And let's go back to the scrolling. You know how scrolling is it can become habitual? It had become habitual for me, mind-numbing, habitual, just like for most people. And I noticed at first when I stopped scrolling, I'd fall off the wagon unconsciously and catch myself scrolling again. And so I just started to do this, doing less, like 10 or 20%. And my only goal was to do less, just about 10% less. And I could tell I was getting better and better. I was getting better at doing less scrolling, the skill of doing less scrolling. And I'd also noticed my vertigo was getting better. But I also noticed I was doing less of other things like foods and other things that I couldn't really tell what was making it better. But I noticed that I had developed the skill of doing less and getting the results. Does that make sense, everybody? So then I had someone come into my life who's struggling with their weight. And for the last several years, she has either stayed the same weight that she considers overweight, or she's gained more weight. And I asked her the things she's done. And she told me all of these things that were about more. I joined this class. I joined this gym. I went to Orange Theory. I signed up with this nutritionist. Like, it was all these more things. And I get it. I've done all the more things too. So I tried this theory with her that I've been doing with me. And I said to her, what if you just did less of things? If you were going to do less of things to get you to the thing you want, which was, I think, 70 pounds less weight. I think that was her number. Whatever her number is, it doesn't matter. I said, what would you if you couldn't do anything except do less of, what would be the less of? And she said things like, I would do less eating candy at night. I would do less of eating, whatever her things were. She just started to uncover what she would just do less of. And I said, if you did that about 10% a day, just a little bit less each day, do you think it could get you the results? So do you see how I had to flip it in her mind? She had to go out and think she had to hire and go do more. But I was asking her, what could she just do a little bit less of each day? And not only did she develop the skill of 10% less, do you see what I mean? Like, she started to just take it down a little bit. She developed that skill that she'll eventually get to her goal just by the idea of less. Does that make sense? Say yes or no in the chat. Also, if you have like an opposite thought to what I'm saying, or I would love to hear it, because it's a new concept for me and it's the first time I'm sharing it. So there's probably a lot of glitches in it that I would love to iron out. So all that to say this, like, you know, again, I'm working with a group of people about manifesting this month. And we're doing a lot of the inner work around it as our main premise. But for today, I want you to think about, when you think about what you want in your life, what you would like to experience, I want you to play it out both ways. And in this way, think about the feeling of more. What would you do more of, think more of, or feel more of to manifest the thing you want? Think about that, because I think that's how most of us think. And go to the other side now. Go to the less side. For me, it's right here. And ask yourself, what would I do less of? What would I do more of? What would I think more of? And what would I feel more of? Did I do that right? No. I'm going to start over. Less. What would I think less? What would I feel less? And what would I do less of? There, I got it right that time. In order to manifest the thing I said I wanted to experience. So what would I do more of? Think more of? Feel more of? And then what would I do less of? Think less of? and feel less of. And it might be a combination of all of it, but I just wanted, why am I sharing that with you today? Because it has really opened my eyes to a lot more. And I'm hoping it could help you also. Somebody just said less is more. Yeah, that's so brilliant. I know we've heard that many times, but I'm hearing it at a whole nother level. I'm wondering if focusing on less of could get us to the experience of the thing we said we want, whether that's weight loss, a relationship, financial, career, like whatever you're really focusing on this January. Okay, this is good. Somebody just said, I don't know what I would do about less when I'm manifesting money. I've never done it with money yet, but can we try it together? We might. Again, I'm brand new to this idea, so I don't know if we'll get anywhere, but I'm willing to try. Okay, everybody help us here. Trista, awesome. Trista, you even chime in because you are a wise woman. What would you do less of if you were focused on manifesting money? Can anybody chime in? What would you do less of? I'm going to go inside myself. So my first thought is I'm going to do less spending on things that I don't need. I would do less spending. I would certainly have more money in my account with less spending. Yes, I know that was your question about money. So the first thought that came up for me is, could I do 10% less spending? Not in a scarcity way. I don't want it to feel like that at all. But I just want you to play around with, well, like reasonably, I could spend less possibly, and then I would have more money. That's just like off the top of my head. That is an action. I could do less spending. Anybody else have anything? Somebody else said less of feeling like I don't have it. So good. So catching yourself when you're in that scarcity mindset or that lower vibration, whatever you want to call it, and catching yourself and doing less of that. Just like me doing less scrolling, right? We're going to do less of the feeling it. What else are you thinking? Somebody said less coffee trips if you're into that. And she says, LOL. You're right. Like play around with it. What would you let's do some more. So we got the feeling, less scarcity feelings, less spending. And I'm going to even I don't know if the word's challenge. I'm going to open you up to this idea. What if it's not cold turkey? Because it doesn't seem like cold turkey works for many people. What if it's just like, I'm going to do 10% less. And if you continue to do 10% less and actually saw that, and you develop the skill of 10% less and or more, depending on what you're doing, you always have that skill, and eventually you have to get to your goal. And not only do you get to your goal, you've developed a skill that gets you to anything. Somebody said, I just like your style and energy, very easy to follow. I'm live with you. Awesome. And everyone, and my energy just got awesome. Wow. I'm so glad you're here. I love a wow. I don't know why that word wow is just my favorite word. Somebody said, how do I make it where my name comes up? If you click that link, I think there's a StreamYard link. June, I'm so glad you're here. Yep, it's okay. Wonky internet. Okay, do you like this idea of less? I'm not saying it's the be all end all. I think I automatically default to more. I'm going to go find more information. I'm going to learn more. I'm going to find the next mentor, whatever. And all those things are wonderful, but it's not the only thing. Just challenge yourself and say, what could I do less of that would actually get me there? And maybe the most magical equation would be to ask yourself, what's all the mores and what's all the lesses, and actually put them all on the table and then decide for yourself. And I think that combination is probably fascinating. I'm going to do more of it myself or less of it. And the other piece that I'll probably talk about next week is 10%. What if we built the 10% muscle? Because that's how it's going to go for most of us anyway. I don't see many people succeeding with, I'm going to lose 70 pounds cold turkey. I think it works sometimes, but what if we were gentler with ourselves? What if we knew we were going to fall off the wagon and get back on the wagon? Just like my scrolling. Remember how I said I wanted to stop scrolling and I caught myself many times scrolling again? What if that was just part of the 10%? What if that's just part of the journey? Is letting the old way go less and less, 10% less, as we move into the new way. Somebody said, oh, Shan, good to see you. Less complaining to others about not enough. Oh, so good. Okay, did you hear that? What she said? Less complaining to others, and maybe even less complaining in our own brains to ourselves about not enough. Right? Rarely do I hear myself on the outside, but boy, do I have a lot of it going on the inside. Okay, and then Shan said, I love this idea of less. Awesome. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Next week, I'm going to come back. I'm going to talk about it again. I'm going to try to remember to talk about the 10% more or the 10% less. And in that time, if you're interested, play around with what I just said. You won't know if this is true until you try it in your life and that you see your life, I don't know, you get to see your life differently, or things feel different, or they feel more expansive or more constrictive. Like the proof is in the pudding. So some of you are going to try this and maybe come back and say, that made no sense, doesn't work. Then you're going to pitch it. There's so many things to think about and ideas, like let it go then. Or maybe try it again and see if you get some results. You decide. But if it rings true to you, then keep playing with this idea of more versus less. And then honestly, today, it wasn't until today talking to you all that I think I thought of the idea of combining more and less together, putting it all on the table and just looking at it that way. Honestly, I think that's a new idea for me. I default to more all the time. I've got to go find something. I got to go find the right, like that's my default. And this idea of less through the last 6 months with my vertigo, I've had better results with doing less things. I'm trying it in other areas of my life. Somebody else's idea about the money, I bet, was more visualizing what you want, less thinking about what you don't want. Excellent. So good. Okay, I hope that was helpful today. I am working with a group of people in a month-long manifesting. It's called the Inner Work Manifesting 5-week experience. If you are interested in joining us for that, put manifesting in the comments. I'll make sure to get you the link. We started live last week, but if you sign up, if you're interested and you sign up for the course, you get it for lifetime access. You'll get last week's replay. You can join us tomorrow for our next live class. We meet every Wednesday, noon to 1 o'clock Eastern. So you have to check your time zone if you want to join us. And just put manifest in the chat. I'll make sure to get you the link. Okay, I'll be back here next week. We're going to talk a little bit about more, less, and maybe that 10% idea. And then I'd love for you to come back and share what's going on with you. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.